Previously on Power Reviews. We'll be reviewing all 7 final episodes of Super Samurai.
You should obviously be putting more thought behind your analysis.
Fine. You know what? You review the next episode. So what did you think?
If you ever require any additional insights for your reviews, I might not be entirely against that.
And now, Database Rangers Power Reviews. Greetings, Ranger fans, and welcome to Power Reviews. Big weekend this weekend. Yesterday, we finally had the series premiere of PR's 20th anniversary season, Power Rangers Megaforce. And I hear there's some big football game going on today, but that's obviously not as important. Now, I haven't seen the premiere yet, so don't spoil me on it. Yeah, I know, Database Ranger hasn't seen a Power Rangers episode yet, but that's because I have a responsibility to this show first and foremost. So, I won't be reviewing the new season until after we finish up the last 3 episodes of Power Rangers Super Samurai. Oh man, is there really 3 more episodes? Well, maybe I could watch it now. Well, no, I'm doing the show now, so maybe I could watch it after the show. What were we talking about?
Since Database is somewhat distracted at the moment,
Go Megaforce!
Allow me to bring you up to speed. Ranger Red Alpha's sister, Ranger Red Prime, recently appeared in order to assume her rightful place as leader of the team, while he departed to remove any questions about the chain of command. In his exile, he is once again dueling Decker. The victor has yet to be determined.
What do you think, Robo Knight? Will Megaforce be awesome? Oh, I most certainly hope so. Oh, right. So let's find out who wins with episode,
18.
Right, episode 18 of Power Rangers Super Samurai, Evil Reborn. After a quick
previously on Power Rangers Super Samurai,
we pick up where we left things off at the Shiba house. Mike, Mia, and Emily are determined to stop the battle between Jaden and Decker, while Antonio stays behind to recover from his injuries. And Kevin...
I'm gonna stay with Lauren. I hate to split up the team, but this way Lauren can continue mastering the sealing power while you help Jaden.
Didn't Ranger Red Prime already master the sealing power?
I guess practice makes perfect. Out in the forest, the great duel continues on horseback, sparks flying back and forth until the two finally transform and charge each other.
Despite the fact that neither of them possess the appropriate weapons for jousting.
Regardless, their second run at each other is epic enough that I'm pretty sure their horses spontaneously combust.
With ethical violations like these, it's very difficult to assume the moral high ground.
The sound of 2 horses crying out in terror and then suddenly silenced is even enough to catch Dayu's attention in the netherworld.
I'm feeling better myself, thanks for asking.
No one cares.
Oh, I kinda like Octoroo. I'm glad to hear he's okay. Somehow, though, Dayu is able to sense the true source of the disturbance.
Decker!
The duelists carry on their battle, trading sword swipes and ideologies in the process.
The way of the sword is the only way to live.
The only good that comes from fighting is the defeat of evil.
As this is going on, the others continue their search, making me question if they ever thought to ask G where the actual battle was. Ooh, I wonder if Megaforce will have teleportation.
Focus.
Right. Back at the Shiba house, Lauren tells Kevin that it's fine to run off and be with his friends, if that's what he has to do, but he stands by his duty to be there at her side.
I've never had a good friend.
Now you do. Now let's go train.
At which point, they go practice completely independent of each other. Great bonding moment. By the time night falls, though, Lauren has become increasingly worried over her brother's absence, and orders Kevin to go after Jaden and the others. And it looks like she was right to be worried. The duel is still going, which is really impressive when you realize that Jaden totally skipped breakfast. Most important meal of the day. But although Decker clearly desires justice for the breaking of his blade,
Uramasa, 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 Uramasa. This ends now!
thank you! Jaden finishes the fight by striking the sword from his hand and landing a critical hit.
I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 and the flames went higher. And it burns, burns, burns. The ring of fire, the ring of fire.
The Red Ranger relishes his victory until a hoarse chuckle emerges from his fallen foe.
This cursed body won't stop.
It is here that his former teammates finally catch up to them, pleading with the pair to finally stop their pointless battle.
Neither of you have to do this! Actually, unless I'm mistaken, Decker does.
Yeah, they seem to keep forgetting what cursed means.
I'd suggest that they consult a dictionary, but that would seem to be a fruitless endeavor.
Anywho, as Decker tries to convince his opponent to resume their duel, he suddenly finds himself unable to lift his sword. Jaden assumes that he's just too tired, but we can clearly see Dayu at his side, holding back his arm and assuming her old human form.
Please, don't do this. I don't want to lose you again.
Release me. Let me be free of this curse. Dayu. Please.
Reluctantly, she releases his arm.
Only letting go of the past could always be that simple.
What?
Nothing. Let's continue.
Okay. Failing to see the spiritual vision and judging him as delusional, Jaden dismisses his opponent and turns away, just as Decker manages to summon enough strength to transform and draw his blade once more. He moves to strike and... I'm sorry, I know that was a really tense and emotional scene, but... Really, why that face? Let's just move on. He moves to strike and is suddenly struck from behind himself, revealing that Kevin has now arrived to help his friend. I guess he actually bothered to ask for directions. Seizing the presented opportunity...
Come on! There's an opening! Kevin's made with this water power!
Wait, what?
Come on! There's an opening! Kevin's made with this water power!
Why do you keep... that pause?
Focus!
Right. The others race to Jaden's rescue, pulling him out of the fire just as Decker begins to fade away. His curse finally lifted. And I really didn't see that coming. And neither did Dayu. Having observed the whole thing in spirit form, she now knows that the man she loved is lost forever.
At least we still have Master Xandred.
Yes, I'm sure that's a great consolation.
Actually, all things considered, Dayu is oddly composed here, choosing to channel her heartache through her harmonium instead, to help resurrect their fallen master.
It's time to share my misery with the rest of this world.
The next morning, after what I assume was an overnight campout, Jaden once again apologizes for keeping the secret of Lauren and the plan, and turns to leave them once more. But this time, the team isn't having any of it.
If you think everything our team has done isn't real just because you kept a secret, then say it to our faces.
Of course, he can't, and the Rangers are finally able to reconcile, as Uramasa fades away in the morning light. At home, a now recovered Antonio cares for a still recovering Mentor G.
You want some water? A blanket? A pillow?
Certainly hope there's some point to this.
Actually, it looks as though Antonio has been doing this as part of an attempt to avoid Lauren, who has been looking to sit down for a heart-to-heart with the Gold Ranger. She asks him about his childhood with Jaden, and he gladly tells her about how they used to play New Zealand tree slayers in the backyard.
Aha! We started the world again! Yeah!
Seeing how Jaden was able to make a fisherman's son believe in himself, she recognizes why everyone is so loyal to him. But Antonio reassures her that she's great too, and just like her brother. Sadly, the sweet little scene is broken up by the arrival of giant Moogers. Finally setting his feelings aside, Antonio happily agrees to follow Lauren into battle, and G summons the rest to join them. Meanwhile, Jaden finally agrees to rejoin the team, lagging behind while the others morph. For some reason. Probably Sentai footage. Anywho, the four tackle the ground Moogers, while Antonio and Lauren take on the giants with the Claw Armor Megazord. Soon enough, the battle somehow spills over from the marina to the rocky shoreline, where Mia spots Dayu, who has fully embraced her Nylok side and is preparing to settle her debt with Master Xandred for fixing her instrument. But rather than play her sorrowful song, she chooses to antagonize the Pink Ranger instead, goading an attack that splits open her harmonium, unleashing 200 years of pent-up misery.
Are we still on the subject of gender issues? Because if we are, I would like to point out the fact that 2 women just doomed the world.
Yeah. The storm of sadness causes a surge in the Sanzu, summoning the subject of every Super Samurai's sleepless psyche in a shower of spray. Master Xandrid has returned. And he means business. And that's the end of our episode. So what did I think of it? Well, after a string of what should be great episodes, this one probably comes closest to hitting that mark. And I dare say it's one of the best that Super Samurai has offered thus far. What makes it work is a surprising number of strong character moments that we have strewn throughout the episode. Apart from Decker and Dayu, who I will get to in a moment, we have Lauren's concern for her brother, Kevin's conflicting loyalties, Antonia warming up to Lauren, Lauren's doubts about her leadership, Mike's dedication to Jaden, and, of course, Jaden's return to the team.
But what about Rangers Pink and Yellow?
They also displayed their dedication to Jaden. It's the best I got. At least Emily didn't do anything to doom the world.
Duly noted.
But getting back to Jaden's return, one of the biggest issues with this trilogy of episodes has been his murky motivation for leaving the team in the first place. Although he claims that this is so there are no conflicting loyalties in battle, it actually would have made more strategic sense to keep the bearer of the sealing power at home while the more experienced leader retains command, rather than putting their best weapon on the front line.
Are you suggesting she just stay in the kitchen?
Yeah, no, I mean, my point is that we finally see his true motivations here. He left not out of obligation, but out of guilt. He couldn't cope with the fact that he had kept such a big secret from his best and only friends, and left rather than face them. What he only just now realizes here is that the secret doesn't matter to them. It never mattered to them. They react in the same way that I think every leader would hope his followers would react. They understand entirely the necessity of keeping a secret plan secret, and they trust his judgment. True, most of this plotline has shown just how poor that judgment is, but it is the thought that matters. Now we come to the true centerpiece and driving force of the episode, the relationship between Dayu and Decker. This was surprisingly well handled, and a large part of that was in how it defied expectation. I think we all kind of thought that Dayu's love for Decker would ultimately redeem them both, and that she would act as sort of a morality chain to bring him back to the side of good. However, the events of this episode places their relationship into a completely new context. His existence was what kept her from fully embracing her Nylock side, and her refusal to let go of him was what kept Sir Raider's curse intact, even after the caster had been destroyed. From the looks of things, the man she loved really did die all those years ago, and the character that we have been following is nothing more than a shadow, who never truly knew anything but tortured pain and the desire for conflict. Dayu's love for him was what kept him alive and gave him the positive traits that we perceived, and the only emotion that was truly his was the desire to end it all. In this respect, he's almost more of a construct than a character in his own right, which actually places a number of aspects of his story into a completely new light, including how the Rangers treat him. They don't perceive him as a real person because he isn't, and they pick up on that on a subconscious level. Or they could just be jerks. It's really hard to tell. Hopefully the Megaforce Rangers will be better. Ooh, I wonder if they...
Really?
Sorry. So, does all this character development make this a great episode? Well, not quite. As you may have noticed, there are a couple unintentionally goofy moments, and still times when the performances are stiff or the dialogue awkward. Not to mention Kevin's inconsistencies in his motivations, whether he is prioritizing Lauren or the city, was never really made clear. And the bizarrely fluid timeline between day and night and traveling between locations did get a bit disorienting. Overall, though, even if Super Samurai has yet to present us with any truly great episodes, this is probably the closest the season has come to very good, with intriguing character and plot developments that really set the stage for the final 2 episodes. So, although I think the script could have used a tad more polish to really shine, it definitely piqued my interest to see what happens next in the penultimate episode of Power Rangers Super Samurai, The Sealing Symbol. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got some Megaforce to check out. Bye! Oh, right. Until then, farewell, Ranger fans, and let the power protect you.